Welcome to the Design Dash podcast, your guide to designing a life you love. Join us as we explore the keys to living the life you want without compromise.
Welcome back to the Design Dash podcast. Today, we are going to talk about focus when everything feels important. This sounds familiar. I'm sure you've got 47 tabs open in your browser and in your brain. Your inbox is overflowing, although I try to be inbox zero. We'll talk about that. And everything feels urgent. So in today's episode, Melissa and I are diving into one of the biggest challenges for creative entrepreneurs, and that's knowing what to focus on when everything feels equally important. And it's not about being perfect. It's about getting clear. We'll share the actual tools and frameworks that we use in Design Dash and in our design firm, Laura U Design Collective, to cut through the noise, to prioritize what's most important with confidence, and to stay focused even when life is pulling us in a million directions, which it tends to do. So I want to start out with asking the question, Melissa, maybe you know, maybe you don't, but why in the world is focus so hard for creative business owners? Like, I don't know. Why is it so damn hard?
I think because we're doing a lot. I think, yes, we're creative business owners, but we're also small business owners. So
Yes, true.
we're really lean. We're taking on, we're wearing so many hats. And not only that, we're also managing people who are wearing a ton of hats. So I think it just feels like a lot all the time. I mean, coming from a corporate environment, it's almost like an assembly line. Everybody has a role, usually, not always.
Yeah.
And so it can be a lot easier, or at least I felt that way, to focus in that kind of environment. But in a small business, whoa, like you're doing everything, like you're investigating your own tax stuff sometimes while you're dealing with clients. And so I think that's what makes it a lot.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also, like, as women, we have our social, just as people, I guess, but we have our social life, we have our kids, we have our partner, significant other, spouse, whatever, nonprofit and community commitments. Like, there's just so many things. I mean, I know just within, and you're probably the same, within one day, I may be going to a board meeting for a nonprofit and have a doctor's appointment and hosting a podcast and picking my husband up from the airport and. So yeah, like how focus just seems almost out of reach sometimes. So I have a few tools that I use. I'd
Yep.
love to know first, what's your go-to? Like, how do you stay focused? Do you stay focused, I guess?
No, I mean, and talking about it today, like we're just
Just
coming
now.
back from High Point, and gosh, I mean, if you want to talk about something that's going to take away your focus because it's just this and that and this and that, it's very
Overload. It's
cluttered, it's
yeah.
very noisy, and then you get back and you're just like, okay, well, what am I supposed to focus on? What is my priority here? And I don't think I have a good answer for that. I do know that one thing that I have done, I mean, it's really just taking care of myself personally.
Mm,
Like making sure that I get to go to the gym in the morning, or like I'm doing some sort of workout every day, because I feel like if I'm really challenging myself physically, then all of that silly stuff at work doesn't seem as challenging anymore.
mm.
And then I've talked about this before, but trying not to have meetings back to back, which I say that I have a meeting right after this one. But really trying not, like, having like 15 minutes even to just get up, like move the blood around my body, get something to drink, and then reset for the next meeting. Because I think that especially once we started doing Design Dash, it's really hard for me to grapple with the switch of, I'm thinking LUDC, oh, but then I have this Design Dash meeting after that, oh, but then I have a marketing meeting for LUDC. And that is, I know that there's probably a name for switching, and we'll probably have to figure out what that's called. But I find that really exhausting. So making sure that I take that time has been crucial.
And I think actually that's a really good point. Like switching between one business, Design Dash, and another business, Laura U Design Collective, it's like a whole brain shift. And that can be the same for a design firm owner, just switching from doing operations and admin tasks and turning on your creative brain and working in a project. And that's a tough shift to make. And so I think, like, I live by my calendar. That's how I organize everything, but it can get really out of control. And just because it's on my calendar doesn't mean it's freaking important.
Yeah,
It
that's great.
found its way there some way or another. It could have been 6 months ago. It could have been yesterday. It could have been this morning. Someone stuck something in there. It doesn't mean it's important. So I don't know. I guess my question is, how do you determine what's important? And then what do you do about all the shit that's not?
I cancel it. You know what? Today I canceled 2 meetings with the team because I
Good
was
for
like, "You know what?
you.
We don't need to have this meeting, and,
Peace
we'll
out.
meet on it next week." Like, I need time to honestly, this morning, I needed time to go to the gym. I really did.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and I wasn't gonna be able to make it into the office in time for that meeting, so I was like, "You know what? We can meet from home." And, like, I guess just being more flexible. I think that there was a time when I was really rigid, like, I do still live and die by my calendar, but it was very much like, "Oh, if it's on my calendar, it's on my calendar. I have to make it." But
Right.
no, I don't really. I have to really like, if I'm not going to be fully present for that meeting, then that meeting's not gonna be productive, then it's just gonna be a waste of everybody's time. So, for me, let's move it. We'll talk about it, in a week or so. If we have something that's an emergency, which we did, there were things that we needed to address today. We just talked about it and it was done in 5 minutes. So,
I think that's a great point too, is like, if it's on your calendar, you almost feel committed.
you do.
And it's like, you should do that. And I had this conversation yesterday, like, do you really want to do this? Or do you feel like you should do it? And then you start shoulding all over yourself, which I don't know if I like that phrase, but I've heard it a lot. And I think about that now. Like, it needs to be pointed out sometimes. Like, is this really serving you and your values? Or is it just something that's on your calendar and you feel like, so therefore you should do it? Or something you've committed to in the past that's no longer working, you should do it.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, even when you get into like, that's just broader scope of finding focus and determining what's important. But even in the day to day, just like you said, just canceling those meetings, like, I think I use a few tools
Yeah,
that I know I've kind of pushed on you before, because I am very much like a list maker and a check it off kind of person. But to find my focus and to actually make sure I stick to it, I love the Pomodoro technique.
yeah.
And if you don't know what this is, it's created by this guy in the 80s, in the 1980s, Francesco Cirillo. And he named it after his tomato-shaped kitchen timer. You remember those little, like,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
twisty
We need to
twisty
have that.
things? Yeah, and so he used it when he was a student. Pomodoro means tomato in Italian, but he would turn on his timer and work for 25 minutes, like in a 25-minute block. Timer goes off, you take a break. But you're making a list of those things you want to tackle 25 minutes at a time. So now there's an app, of course. So I use it. It's pomodoro.io, I think,
Okay.
or pomodorofocus.io. Um, and you can, like, I just use it as my brain. Like, if I think of something that I really need to do that I feel like is important, it goes on my Pomodoro list, and then I can tackle it 25 minutes at a time. So I really like using that. Have you found success with it at all? Or is it just like,
I feel
it's
like
like
25 minutes
drag
is
for
too
you?
short for me. So, like, what I'll
Well,
do
you can do more than one 25-minute block.
yeah, so I'll do and usually because I'm so scheduled, a lot of my stuff is internal, so I meet with the team a ton. So, it's usually just, like, instead of having an hour-long meeting, I've made them now 30 minutes or 45,
Yes.
and so then I'm forcing myself to take that break in between.
Yeah, I have to force myself. I do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'll just sit here and kind of spiral. Um, but what I like about Pomodoro is it does take me out of just like being reactive to my inbox or being reactive to my text or whatever, and I'm actually focusing on something that I have deemed important.
Yeah.
Um, Otherwise, I'm just like, well, if I don't know exactly what I should be doing right now, I'm just going to procrastinate nonstop. And that means like checking my email and dealing with whatever the hell's at the top,
Yeah.
which is not effective. So, another tool that I really like is it's a concept, the one thing. And this is actually a book. So if you haven't read it, it's a book written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And Gary Keller is the co-founder of Keller Williams Realty. And so the focus is really like simplifying your workload and focusing on the one most important task that makes everything else easier or unnecessary, which sounds simple, but I think it's really hard to like
That's
find what's that
really
one thing.
That's really hard. I actually do the opposite. Like today when I
You're just like, what
today
are the 20 things?
I tackled all the tiny little things because I was like, it's those tiny little things that are gonna
Mm,
nag at me. And I'm not a really great morning person. So I was just like, if I tackle all of those tiny little things right now, which I have to force myself because I don't want to deal with them, right? But like if I tackle them right now, then I can spend like that from like that 2 to 4, which is sometimes my sweet spot, my brain sweet
huh.
spot, then I can focus on that one thing.
That's an interesting approach. See, I almost do it the opposite. So just like tackling the big thing, um, and putting aside time. And the reason I like, and this is the concept of the one thing, is like you identify that one thing, you can delegate everything else.
Yeah.
But if you're focused on that one thing, then it makes the other stuff unnecessary. But I get it. Like it's all that little stuff too. So you put aside like a chunk of time.
Yeah, like all my thank yous after market, like those types of like there are
Oh,
a lot of tiny thank you things. Like I can't
yeah.
delegate that,
And
unfortunately.
those are timely.
And they're timely too. So I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna just get this out, whatever. It's gonna be fine. Downloading things, like getting information to people so they can take over, those kinds of things.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I mean it's hard. I mean, and I don't do that every day. Like that's the other thing too. I'm not consistent with it. Like there isn't just one thing that I'm just like, I do this every day and it works for me every single time. Like that worked for me today, thank goodness. But it wouldn't have worked for me yesterday, So
Yeah, like I think that's true for me too. Like once a week, it's probably once a week that I'll sit down and I'm like, okay, let's get your shit together. Like, what's the one thing I can do today that's really going to move the needle for Laura U Design Collective? And it's usually my role is biz dev. So it's connecting with that client. It's pushing forward a new project. It's checking in with existing clients and making sure they're happy. Like it's what's that one big thing, but that's usually like once a week.
yeah,
And that's when I get to the point where I'm just like, well, I've been doing all the little stuff just because I can. Now I need to like eat the frog or do the thing that's hard.
yeah,
That one thing is usually something that's hard or like big that I need to tackle. And so I do put it off.
yeah. I know.
Yeah.
It's probably procrastination and not focusing.
For me, it is.
But
For me, it's
it's
procrastination when I do all the little stuff. But you said like getting your thank yous out after High Point is timely. So there's some urgency around that. So then the last tool I was going to talk about, which I think this falls into, is that important versus urgent matrix.
yeah,
So is it important? Is it urgent? Is it not important but urgent? Right? Like so let's see, it's known as the Eisenhower Matrix. So Dwight D. Eisenhower developed this during World War II, but Stephen Covey really popularized it in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I have read. I don't know if you have because you probably are like, ugh, hate it.
I don't do a lot of self-help.
I know
Thank
you
goodness
don't. So
'cause I need to.
I do. I love it. So it's the important versus urgent matrix too, which can also help you determine what really is important for you. And it may be something that's not urgent. It may be some big idea, but it is important to your overall goals or values. So it shouldn't be written off. Um, but like for you, getting those thank yous out was urgent and important
Yeah,
because it's long-term relationship building too.
yeah. But it's also one of those things, like, if I send out one text, like, "Oh, so great to see you. Thank you so much," then I'll procrastinate on all the others. So just like I had to sit down and it was just like, "All right, I've got 6 of them right in a row. Boom, boom, boom."
Yeah. Yeah. That's, you could Pomodoro the hell out of that. I don't know. I think like I really like these tools and I use a combination throughout the week.
For me, it's
Yeah.
our project management tool. So, like, if we're having our meetings as a team every week, we create a great list of to-dos that come out of that. And I know I have a week to get this done. And however I want to assign that to myself within that week is totally up to me and my schedule. But as long as I can get that done by the next time that we meet, I feel really good about it. So I'll look at my agenda for those meetings and what my to-dos were, and then I make sure that I just get them done before, like, today, I'll get them done by next Thursday.
You're really self-motivated and so am I. And that's really important too to the people on our team. But
Mm.
for someone who's not naturally like self-motivated, what do you say to them about finding their focus?
Man, I mean, it's really tough. You have to find out what's gonna motivate you because it's gonna be something. Is it going to be the shame of not getting it done? Because sometimes
Hmm.
that's what it is for me.
Motivated by shame.
Yeah. most definitely. I'm an Asian mother. But I think a lot of times too, it's just like, am I motivated by letting my team down? Because I know that if I don't get this done, then they can't get started. So I think like just finding what it is that motivates you. If you're motivated by money and doing well, like obviously you need to get it done, or now you're on a performance review. So I think that there's something about it. Now, of course, all of my things are really negative.
I know, I was going to say, those are all like punishment.
I'm very punitive, I guess, but in a more positive reinforcement sense, I do feel good when I can get it done ahead of time. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
like going through a meeting, when we start out with our to-dos, done or not done. I'm just like done, 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 done. That feels really good.
Yeah. I guess you could also just bribe yourself too, right? Like, hey, I'm going to send myself to the spa if I get this done.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But they
Like
gotta focus
carrot versus
time for
stick.
that.
Sometimes, yeah, I know. Like, but if you focus on all the important things, spa time. So we are building Design Dash, which is pretty much in startup mode.
Yeah.
We also are growing. I mean, kind of not growing, but just like really, we've got some good momentum with Laura U Design Collective, which is an 18-year-old business. But now the focus is just like relevance,
Yeah.
staying, top of mind. We're really at like the top of our game with LUDC. So our focus is really split. So how are you prioritizing the work for both?
And it's hard because you're right. You have something that's just like maintaining and maintenance and still like excelling, of course, and then you have
Mhm.
like startup mode almost.
Like
And
bootstrapping, get it done.
right, and very different team sizes. Like I have a big team on LUDC, and about less than half of that on Design Dash, and so you have to take care of a lot. How do I prioritize? I mean, again, it's sometimes I do a better job of it than others, but like today, it was more just like, what's urgent? What does my team need from me? Because I mean, we've been out, we've been gone at
Yeah.
one point, so I know that the team had like. I'm sure that you dealt with this too, but as soon as you come back and it's 9 a.m. the day that you return, ping, 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 ping. Hey, I know you just got back. What's this? What's that? So I just always prioritize what my team needs first. So whenever I am like away, like we have been, I reach out to every single person that I manage and say, "Hey, I'm back." I'm like, well, yesterday I was back in the office, so that was very easy for them to see. What questions do you have? Did anything come up while I was gone? What's going on? Let's deal with it. Take care of it. And then, we take care of all of those things first. But again,
Yep.
being chief operations officer, I take care of the operation. So I would imagine that maybe for you, you're taking care of client concerns, but for me, it's always the team first.
I mean, I think that makes sense actually. So if you have a team, the first thing you do is get them lined out because then they're moving forward. They're not stalled out.
Yeah.
You're not a bottleneck. So send them on their way with good instructions or answers to questions or whatever. And then you can focus on your stuff.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I mean, I try to split up Design Dash and Laura U with days of the week. That
Yeah.
doesn't always work because there's stuff that needs to happen almost every day. But like, for example, my Wednesday is usually focused on Design Dash. Other days of the week are normally Laura U with like a little Design Dash sprinkled in. But like my Wednesday, I really try to keep it for Design Dash just so I can have that like big block of time because it is hard to take yourself from one like mode of work and put yourself into something else entirely.
Yeah.
I feel like I lose like hours just with the transition
Me too.
and
Yeah.
the catch up. So I do try to keep it with different days of the week. And I know a lot of designers have more than one revenue stream. So
Mhm.
I'm really curious too how you as a designer listening may split up your time if you do have alternate revenue streams. Like we just had a podcast interview with Victoria Holly, who is an interior designer and
Yeah, she's
also
great.
has an art collection. So and a line with forehand. So those are two very different revenue streams. And I know a lot of interior designers do the same. So I'm really curious. So tell us, sound off in our discussions.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think our listeners can do this week to regain their focus?
Ooh, I mean, something that I like to do is something that And I only do this like when I'm in extreme stress, so I really should be doing it right now. But that my therapist taught me was she's like, you have these roles that you play, and especially as I say this, as working mothers too. But I mean, I don't know any working mom. This is just anecdotal, who doesn't also handle most of the like school pickups, dealing
Yeah.
with friends and sleepovers and plays and all of the other extracurriculars. And so what my therapist taught me was to create these columns for yourself. Like, I'm COO here, I'm co-founder here, I'm wife here, I'm mother here, and all of that stuff. What is, like, what is that one thing, or what are your top priorities for the week that you need to fulfill that role? Because what I would find for myself is that I would have all of this work stuff that I knew I would need to do, but then I wouldn't buy tickets to the sports banquet for my daughter, or, like the date night goes out the window. So just knowing that I'm Melissa, right, in one person, but I have like 8 different roles. Here are the most important things that that role needs to get done this week, and that's a huge help for me.
That's a cool way to look at it. I mean, I think that gives a lot of clarity too. Like, I'm really visual. So seeing it in like
Yeah.
columns in my mind's eye is helpful, because then it's not just like a big smash up of 100 things. It's very organized.
Yeah, well, and
And I
another
can just
thing.
pull those top 2 things from each bucket.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing too is she's just like, well, you want to give 100%, 100%, 100% everything that you're doing. She's like, but that's not possible. And there's going to be some times where you need to give like 110% to yourself. And you're going to have to carve out that time from another place to get it. So you're going to have
Gotta
to
come from
steal
somewhere.
time from something else to give
Mhm.
to yourself. And so I think seeing that in a list of like, okay, like going to the spa, yes, I would love a massage, right? And my husband and I are just planning a date night because it's been like a few weeks since we've had one. So those things have to take priority. And I'm going to do those things first
Yep.
before some of the other stuff in those other columns. I just have to.
I mean, totally. I'm gonna admit this, I took an hour and a half yesterday afternoon away from my normal work day to get, like an intensive sports
Oh,
massage.
yeah, I know. I'm so jealous.
It was so worth it. And now I like, my body feels better, so I can like focus on other things instead of like, oh, I was on my feet for 5 days at High Point after like having very intensive 2 weeks of workout sessions with my coach, which I shouldn't have done ahead of High Point, and my body freaking hurts. So I took an hour and a half. So like, yes, we have to prioritize that sometimes. And yes, I may have missed something else, but it's okay. It's still going to be there.
Yeah, it's okay. 100%. It'll always be there.
So I'm going to make this real simple. And I would say one thing our listeners can do this week: try the Pomodoro technique.
Yeah.
Just download the Pomo. But I'm going to tell you, hold on, I got to open it up so I can tell you what it's called. It's called Pomo Focus, Pomo focus.io. Download the app, try it, and see if it works for you. It works for me. I really like it. I'm very sporadic with it, though. I'll be great about using it for like 2 weeks and then I forget.
I know. I wish I were more consistent with one thing, but I'm just not. It's
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not either.
bad.
That's not true, Melissa. We are very consistent with Basecamp.
That is true.
Our project management that is definitely a focus technique.
Yeah. And I
We use,
do use it for that all the time. And that does
yes.
help me keep things prioritized.
Yep. So I do think that like Basecamp is my constant. It's our communication platform. It's our project management platform. No, they are not paying us to say this. They should,
It should be this.
because it's
Up
really
enough.
great. So that's a constant for me. Um, I don't know. What about you have any takeaways?
I mean, I think also just getting physical, going for a walk. I have some of my best ideas when I go for a walk. I think they said that Charles Dickens, like he would write for a few hours in the morning and then he would walk for 10 miles throughout London. And that was a part of his process, was because like he could flesh out ideas and scenes and characters. And I often find like if I'm really stuck and I can't focus, if I go for a really long walk, I wish it were a hike, but this is Houston and that's not happening. But if I go for a really long walk, like it'll come to me. It'll
I
come
agree.
ahead.
Hiking is where I get my best. Yeah, I do my best thinking.
Yep.
And I'm not hiking yet either because it's literally snowed 5 minutes ago.
Like,
But It's almost hiking season, so get ready, everybody. I'm gonna have some big ideas. But I would also say one thing you could take away is a clarity break. And
Yeah,
so what that is, in our studio in Laura U Design Collective, if we are very overwhelmed with the little things, we will schedule a clarity break. And sometimes it's, we do it once a month, sometimes it's once a quarter, whenever you really need it. But it's taking a full day, blocking out your calendar, turning off your notifications. There's no emails, there's no communication. It's still a work day, but it's for you to gain clarity on anything that you may need to really dig into and focus on.
yeah,
It's not a day off. And I guess sometimes it could be like a half a day off and like a clarity break the other half. Take your walk, get your ideas. But a clarity break is really a great method. And we've enforced it or really supported it in our studio for so long that it's really normal for someone to say like, hey, I'm going to take a clarity break next week on Thursday. I'm going to be out of the office. And we're all like, cool, sounds good.
yep,
So schedule your clarity break. And if you have a team, explain to them what it is. It is a day for you to focus on big picture things.
yep. Yeah, you need that sometime too. I mean, people are just dragging you in every which way a lot of the time. And again, it's that transition. I need to find the name for that because I know that there is a name for transitioning from one thought to a next, and especially like the way that we work now and why that's so detrimental.
If I ever had the name of it in my brain, it's gone now. So along with so many other things. I'm gonna take my own advice and schedule a clarity break today.
I moved all my meetings on Monday, well, except for the ones I have in the afternoon because I have one with you, and I'm just like I want to think through a bunch of stuff and then meet with you in the afternoon so we can like filter through that. But I
Yeah,
have not had the time to just ideate.
maybe I'll do the same thing.
Months, I feel like.
And I remember one of your zones of genius is wonder,
Yeah, and so when I
right?
don't get to do it, I get really down.
Yeah, so that's important. You need your wonder time.
You
We can also move our afternoon meeting.
No, we need that meeting. We haven't had it in a while.
All right. Well, we have some marching orders: Pomodoro technique, clarity break, get to the gym or go take a walk. What else do we have?
Take care
Your
of
columns,
my columns, and
your life in buckets.
I think last but not least, like rest is productive. It really,
Mm.
really is. And I think especially like the older that I get, and I realize like, prioritize sleep. So important.
I'm looking this up. I read a book on rest and it's actually called Rest and it's really, really good. It is by Alex Sujung Kim Peng. Rest. It's so good. So if you feel guilty about resting, read that book. You'll feel
I
good.
do all the time, but everybody's like, no, you really need it. And I was like, oh yeah, I really do.
Then this is your next book. When you're resting, read this book. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that you had a takeaway on how you can find focus when everything feels important.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out our next podcast, coming live next week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. In the meantime, you can find us and more wonderful stories like these on designdash.com. And make sure to follow us at Design Dasher on Instagram and TikTok. Till next time.